Hello, everyone. My name is Gabby, and let's talk about some Dragon Ball merchandise, shall we? It's been a while. Being a Dragon Ball fan was why I started making this YouTube channel in the first place. Not much new has been happening with the franchise lately. The last big thing was there was the new movie that came out, Dragon Ball Super Hero. I was a very big fan of it. I sometimes kind of made the joke to myself that I became superheroes' number one fan, although that's honestly not true. But, I really enjoyed it. And when you are a fan of a long running franchise and there is something that you enjoy that they came out with, the logical thing to do is when they start bringing out merchandise of it is to buy it and buy some of it, vote with your wallet, and basically to try and sort of tell the franchise owners, hey, I liked that thing you did. And if you do something else similar to it, I might buy something like it again and you could get more money from me. So maybe you should do it. That's kind of how brand loyalty works, even if that's not actually how things go down in real life. So first things first, I got a figure from Superhero related to it, and so I was gonna, unbox that. Let's see what it actually looks like in person, outside the box, all that sort of stuff. So let's see what the figure is. It is right here. I don't even know which one's the front. I think this is the front. So this is so it is a Dragon Ball Superhero DXF line, I think is what it's called. I think DXF probably stands for like deluxe figures. My guess, DX is generally for deluxe, F figure maybe. So basically, this is a how do I describe it? So the DXF line, I'm pretty sure, is kind of like it's kind of like the most basic sort of first proper figures, prize figure size figures that come out like for the movie. They are like the promo movie figures. If you're going to buy it, it's almost like, if you came out of the theater and you want to buy something, a figure that is related to the movie that you just got, like these things are the ones that are there. They're pretty plentiful. They are distributed to lots of different places. You can probably get them in lots of different places. And it is very much a promo for the movie because you even have, hey, here's the movie poster on one of the sides. Like it is very much that is kind of the purpose of these figures. And this one has been out for a while since obviously the movie came out ages ago, even in English. And in English, it doesn't take that long, like only a few months for the figures to come from Japan to everywhere else. So this has been out for a while. I have been sitting on it for a very long time. I have been umming and erring, being like, do I want this? Am I going to get it? That kind of thing. And the reason why I didn't want to get it, even though it is a cool looking figure of Gohan, and I like Gohan, and I like Gohan in this movie, so I might as well get it. The reason why it took me so long to kind of just decide it is just because the pose looks pretty boring. I'll be completely honest. It's very generic. It's not based on anything in the movie. It is just, in fact, it's not even really a pose that he does in the movie. It's just kind of like hey, you like Ultimate Gohan? Here is a version of him just sitting there, just standing there existing. Basically, I was waiting to see if there was going to be any more interesting looking Ultimate Gohan figures that were coming out, and it's been a while. I've actually seen things that have come out, and it's just basically there aren't that many figures that I like with poses that I like that I think are kind of interesting and are a reasonable price, and I don't need to figure out how to do like some crazy Japanese proxy buying or whatever just to get them here. So basically, essentially that, and I'm like, I might as well get one, and that's just for Ultimate Gohan. There's also the question of Gohan Beast, but that is a whole other, well, beast, and I'll get to that later. First things first, I guess I've kind of sort of shown you the box, but so yeah, I think this is the front. It's like I assume that is Dragon Ball Superhero DXF, and I assume that is just Ultimate Son Gohan or what. I actually don't know if it's like Ultimate written in katakana or if it means something else. I actually don't know that. I'm a terrible fake fan apparently. Yeah, Ban Presto. So Ban Presto Dragon Ball series. Ban Presto is, I guess, the figure line that does it, which I guess is it's Ban Presto because I think it's related to Bandai. I think Bandai like own Ban Presto. I've learned quite a lot more about anime merchandise the last few years. I'm a lot more informed now. So I didn't realize there's different like umbrella big company that sort of do things, and then they have like subsidiaries or like other people they sort of contract to actually make the figures. So like Bandai is one, and then there's like Good Smile, for example, which do like the Nendoroids. If you're wondering like why hasn't there been any like Dragon Ball Nendoroids, it's because Dragon Ball like has a merchandising exclusivity deal, I assume, with Bandai. So anything that Dragon Ball figures are made by Bandai. And anyway, I'm getting off topic. The box, side view, back view. Okay, well, it says Ultimate Gohan there in English. Thank God Mystic is still just doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. And there we have a nice little thing about the movie poster basically saying, hey, guys, watch the movie. If you didn't see the movie, go and see the movie. Bottom is just instructions. Top is, yeah, the superhero like that. It's nice. The other reason why I was a bit hesitant about it is because, like, I have literally only seen this one picture, and that is the only picture I've seen for like proper previews that they put in like retailers and stuff, and online retailers and preview images. Like this is just the same image. They just changed the coloring. Like I was like, is this gonna look as good as this one picture shows, or is it gonna look bad? So I'm interested in that. So let's go and open this thing up. Got my scissors. Let's do this. All right, let's open it up. And it's out in here. And it's like that. And then pull that flap open. And then what is look at all this empty space. God, come on, you guys. I mean, I think I'll talk about it later. But it's in another brown cardboard box. Lots of cardboard. Okay, this thing, and pull that out. Pull that out. Pull that out. And isn't there a stand? Oh, the stand's there. Okay, cool. So there's a lot of empty space in the cardboard box. It's just like there's a lot of empty space in the box, and I think the reason why is that these things, I called them prize figures before, and the reason why they're called that is because I think like these are things you can buy at like anime stores and merchandise stores and stuff, but they're also the other main use for them is essentially to put into crane games. Like the Japanese crane games and specifically. I don't think they really do that as much in anywhere else. So like, I feel like, maybe because they're crane game prices, they kind of have to be sort of the same size box and maybe similar kinds of things. So like, they can design it so that it's possible to lift up with the crane, because maybe if it's like too big or too heavy, they have to get a different type of crane for it. Like maybe that's the case. I actually don't know, but I think that is part of the whole merchandise economy. It's a whole, the figure economy. It's a whole thing, and it's kind of interesting. Like not in a I want to recite facts about it to everybody way, but more of like so there's actually reasons as to why these things are the way they are. Reasons that have to do with profit. But now with everything here together, let's try and put this all together. So you got body, head, and stand. The stand is honestly pretty interesting, but I'll show you that when I get this all finished. So let's open this up one by one. Stand, head, body. Body has convenient flesh colored stubs to put on the stand. At least there's no confusion. I say that there's no confusion on how to put it in, but actually that's. Let me just tell you what, I'll put the head on first. That's a nice tight fit. And now let's try and put him on the stand. How do you do this? You're supposed to like push his legs together a bit? Like that? Well, that made it click, so that sounds about right. Okay, I think that looks pretty. Yeah, all stable, all done. Awesome. Let's have a look and properly examine this thing. I think it actually looks pretty decent. It wasn't the most expensive thing, so I was a bit worried about the quality and the fact that it's literally I've only seen one image of it from this one angle. The fact that they only show it like at this kind of sort of top view angle made me think that when you look at it straight on, it doesn't look that good. But honestly, it's not that bad. Yeah, sure, maybe it looks a little bit better from the top, kind of like that. But I think it's for the most part, I think it's all right. Like Once again, nothing special, but it's nice. It's Gohan. He's in his, it's like the ultimate Gohan. It's like this very much was like a if you it's almost like a figure for people who don't want to be spoiled on what's actually in the movie because okay, spoilers, Gohan uses ultimate, I guess, and you just kinda know that. The context, who knows what the context is, it's just the character. He exists. If you think he looks cool, buy a figure of him, that kinda thing. But, I think it looks pretty good. Also, like, the problem is, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but, I like that in comparison to what I've seen the version of this, that they have this line and they have like an Ultimate Gohan, and that was like the first like Gohan that came out in with this line, and then they did a Super Saiyan one, and they also did a Gohan Beast, and the Gohan Beast looks like like it looks very pale, and maybe that's part of the design. It's kind of hard to tell given that that entire whole thing scene with Gohan and Beast and everything was like, if he looks pale, I don't know, because it was at nighttime, and at the very least, it's not something very obvious. But it doesn't look like did not look good. The DXF version of this for Beast did not look good, and it's come out in Japan, and so it looks a little bit better now that I've seen pictures of it. But like the sort of promo pictures and the pictures that they gave to like as a preview, they look terrible, and I'm like, that looks ugly. I don't want it. And then not even just go Beast is ugly because it's got the hair's too big. The figure just looks bad. And this one is nicer because he doesn't look pale. He doesn't look like a vampire, So that's one thing I do enjoy about it. And yeah, I do. But I guess the main interesting thing about it is the stand. It is literally it's got the logo there, and it's quite big. Like the stand is probably I don't know if the stand is actually bigger than it needs to be, but they use that space to put in the logo of the movie saying like, this is very specifically Gohan from this movie, so watch the movie, that kind of thing. And I think all of the everything in the DXF line has that kind of thing. I think they made a DXF line for Broly, but it was honestly so many years ago, I can't tell. I could do the research later. I can't be bothered to do it right now. Stop the video, go onto the internet and Google this stuff. So but yeah, that reminds me and brings me up to my not even really, like very, very first world problems dilemma of okay, so yeah, I got an Ultimate Gohan. I think Ultimate Gohan's cool. And I also I wanna buy some kind of Gohan Beast thing. Like yeah, the design is not the best thing in the world. I'm not like fucking crazy fangirling over Beast, but I think it's pretty cool. I think it's nice that Gohan got a new form when everybody else has been giving them out like candy. It's nice that Gohan got one, as well as Piccolo, obviously, but Gohan's my favorite, so I have the personal connection that I'm like it more. So I really want to get a Beast figure. And that is interesting because there are a few, not actually, no, none that are officially coming out that have been officially like distributed out here yet, but there are a few that have been coming out in Japan and some that have been released in Japan and all that kind of stuff. And, I've been following it. I've been following the superhero merchandise trade because I'm trying to find like the best one to get in a reasonable way. One that is not too expensive, one that looks good, and one that is that isn't too difficult to get because I don't want to do proxy buying. I mean, I could, but I don't understand it yet. Somebody's going to have to tell me how to do these things, and I probably have people who could help me, but I'm lazy, okay? I just want to find one that looks good and I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. The problem with the Beast figures is, well, basically either they look ugly or that they're just too edgy. Like I know people like the edgy. And I don't but before people, misconstrue what I'm saying, I don't mean edgy in a bad way. I mean edgy in a kind of silly but goofy, but ultimately, you know what, everybody understands it sort of way. Like I know people like the edgy stuff. Like they like edgy Gohan, and that's why a lot of the Beast figures kind of lean into that. But like God, I remember years ago when I was making Dragon Ball. I was buying like my first Dragon Ball figures, and I was like, I just want to buy a figure where the character doesn't look like they're about to stab me. Like, is it that hard? And some of the Beast figures go really hard on that. Arguably even harder than he actually looks in the movie. So, you know, that is a big I am, I've made a whole freaking like I made a whole little picture of like collage of all the different ones that are coming out and trying to figure out which one I'm gonna get. But that's a dilemma for future me. And right now I don't necessarily have to worry about it. And also it's not a pressing issue. It's just these are my future thoughts. So when I get a beast figure, if slash when, that will be the sequel. I'll make a video about it, and you guys can see how what I did, where I made up my mind, and what my final conclusions were. Because I want to get something beast. Because Gohan, new form, it was cool. The scene they did it in the show, in the movie, honestly, I think it was pretty clever. I think it was like fitting. Yeah, it was nostalgia bait, but it was nostalgia bait in the way that like the nostalgia bait didn't actually really matter. It wasn't part of the plot. It was just kind of like something else they added in there just as a fun little thing. It was just a fun little thing. So I want to buy something. That's future me problem. But before we go, I wanted to show you something else as part of my little Dragon Ball merchandise spree splurge. Not really much of a splurge. It wasn't that expensive. What is this thing? It's a. Oh wow, it's actually very long. It's a towel. It's a superhero towel with Gohan in it. So this is a prize I got from going into buying a ticket in one of the Dragon Ball Ichiban Kujis. If you don't know what an Ichiban Kuji is, or just a Kuji in general, it's basically like a lottery or a raffle or kind of like a lucky dip thing. It's like there's basically they sell they sell you a ticket, and in a little box. In this box, there's like a whole bunch of little tickets. You pick up a ticket, you see what letter it has, and a letter corresponds to the bit of merchandise you get. Guys kind of goes from like A prizes, which are like the best prizes, then it goes like B, C, D, etc., etc., and then down to like the lower prizes, which are things like this towel. So for Dragon Ball Ichiban Kuji, the A and B and etc. prices are often figures, and they're figures that are pretty nice, and often they don't really sell them in other places, or they don't really sell them on their own. So those are almost like exclusive figures in inverted commas. But I'm not gonna say they're not worth it, but they're not really worth it because like if you just check statistically of like what kinds of prizes are in there and how many of each prize there are, there's a lot of these towels, and little like autograph cards and clear files. So oh yeah, I actually have a clear file here on my desk. One that which one was this? This is the one I don't know if this one was a gift or this was one I did the Kuji for, but these are other things you'd get, like lots of clear files, which are not really that useful if you unless you just really want to have one. This one's got it's got my picture with Masuko Nozawa in it. You guys want to see that? This is my picture with Masuko Nozawa. I look basically the same. So does she. But that's why I put that in my Dragon Ball clear file because hey, it's appropriate. But it's not really the Kujis are things that you can get merchandise with, little bits. And the reason I got this Kuji, I bought 2 tickets with this Kuji, is because they had this really cool Gohan figure that was like Gohan with the cape and the glasses, like basically literally the scene where like he's you know superhero lands in the middle of the rain with all the Red Ribbon Army soldiers to save his daughter in this very cheesy, like melodramatic way, and it's very cute. And, I wanted to see if I could get that, so I tried 2 tickets. So I got this one, which I think is like the lowest price, which were one of these towels. You could choose. There's a collection of them, so you could choose that. And the other one is was like a little like poster thing. You can actually see it. It's over there, just next to my Goku and Gohan one. There, it's that thing. I stuck it up on my poster wall after that. That also had a few options, and you could choose them. If you look into the Ichiban Kuji, there actually are a few of them, and some of them are also superhero related. Although it's interesting, I've looked at them. Like a lot of the kind of more recent ones, like there was one that was like only superhero dedicated, but I haven't seen any of those, like that one specifically. I think those got sold out at other places that I could find these things at. But the other later ones, they've kind of been doing it like a half and half, where like the prizes, especially like the A, B, C prizes, are like half characters from superhero and a half characters from a random bit in Dragon Ball Z. I guess maybe because like maybe it's a bit too much. Like I guess superhero by itself doesn't have enough content to make an entire lottery ticket out of, especially past the first one. So it's very funny, honestly. Like they did one with oh, it was like Ultimate Gohan was like the A prize, and then another one was the A prize was a Super Saiyan Gohan. There's another one where the A prize is, you know, base Gohan, I guess you could say, untransformed Gohan, Gohan with glasses and the cape before he's actually properly fighting. And then there's a newest one was Beast Gohan is the A prize. And Gohan's always the A prize in these ones, which, you know, it makes me happy because I'm like, yeah, everyone, Gohan's popular. He's the A one. Everyone cares about Gohan, but you know, it's kind of like if they had just taken all of the Gohans and just merged them into like one lottery, I probably would have been okay with it, as opposed to just like this, like staggering out the Gohans over several months. This is what it is like when I'm like, I'm decided I'm going to see what kind of merchandise there is for Dragon Ball Super Superhero. I'm just watching these things come out over several months, and oh, this one's coming out in a few months, and that one's coming out in a few months, and all that kind of stuff. The Ichiban Gucci figures are also the ones when I'm talking about buying figures in a way without proxy buying, because I don't see people selling the prizes as like standalone releases without having to do the lottery in Australia. There might be some in like America. I think there's like that Big Bad Toy Store and other things like that. They sell it under like an Ichiban show line, but I don't see them that officially distribute those to Australia. So I would have to figure out some way of doing shipping, and it's probably a pain. And like technically, it might also be cheaper to buy them from Japanese people who are you doing the lottery with like a proxy buying service thing, but I don't understand all of that. Anyway, that's where some of the Gohan figures are. There are also others coming out, different little lines. There's one that's like called like a history box, and there's one that's called like is it Resolution of Soldiers or Blood of Saiyans, and there's all these other ones. And you know, when I find a Gohan, I'm gonna get a Gohan, and I'll show you guys about it because you know I like Gohan. I liked Superhero. Superhero was a good movie, in my opinion. It was like a really fun Dragon Ball movie that just hit me in the right places. So I'm gonna just financially support it, and hopefully they won't do another Broly one after that. No, I mean Broly's the big merch seller, but you know Gohan's a merch seller clearly because he's a prize. And anyway, that's my adventures through Dragon Ball merchandise. It's not complete. It's not over. It's never over. You know, there's a few conventions coming up in the next few couple of weeks and months, and hopefully people are gonna the anime stores are gonna be putting in Ichiban Kuji there. So maybe I'll give it a shot if there's some with some good odds, but who knows? Dragon Ball merchandise. It's fun. So yeah, if I buy another Gohan figure or a Beast figure or some kind of superhero figure, you know, I'll probably make an unboxing video for that. If I buy a Danganronpa figure, I'll probably do an unboxing. If I buy a Fate figure, probably do an unboxing. I watch these things. Every time there's updates of these things, I watch them. Doesn't mean I buy them, but I watch them. It's interesting. It's you know, it's a fun thing. It's when you have disposable income, then you just kind of like, no, as opposed to just like, you know, seeing it and just looking it in front of you and you're like, okay, I'm buying it. Sometimes cool to see like what things are coming out in the future and that kind of stuff. Translation, I am a massive fucking nerd. But you know what? It's okay. I knew that. I assume you guys all knew that as well. And that's why you're watching this video. And that's why you've gotten all this way, because I'm just rambling about anime figures and all that kind of stuff and lotteries and gambling and you know, the usual. It's my life. It's a part of my life, at least.